She rules without a crown, and even the most powerful man in Saudi Arabia follows her silent command. In a world of oil, wealth, and whispers, Princess Fahda isn't just MBS's mother. She's the one power he still fears. This is the story he never wanted you to hear. The silent matriarch. In a palace dripping with gold, power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers from the shadows. Meet Princess Fahda bint Falah al-Hiflain, the mother of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and a woman few outside the kingdom dare to speak about. She descends from the Ajman tribe, one of the most respected bloodlines in Saudi Arabia. Her marriage to King Salman? A strategic masterpiece. It wasn't just about love, it was about fortifying power, fusing two dynasties in one silent, unbreakable bond. And yet, unlike the global royals who chase fame, Fahda remains invisible to the cameras. You won't find her in tabloids or state TV. But make no mistake, her presence is felt in every corner of the kingdom. She moves in silence but governs with precision. Behind closed palace doors, she is more than a wife. She is a strategist, a diplomat, the only person MBS listens to without interruption. Insiders whisper about her secret interventions in appointments, alliances, and even delicate tribal negotiations. While the world sees MBS as the face of Saudi reform, those in the know understand. Every king needs a queen who knows how to stay in the dark. Fahda understands every thread in the fabric of Saudi society. Tribal politics, Islamic law, royal bloodlines. And she weaves that knowledge into advice that guides her son's every move, whether he admits it or not. In a kingdom where speaking out can cost lives, her power is her discretion. And that's why, in the most guarded corners of Riyadh, she is known not as a figurehead, but as the hidden architect behind the throne. MBS's meteoric rise. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, better known as MBS, didn't climb to power. He launched himself into it. In 2017, at just 31 years old, he was declared crown prince in a swift political storm that stunned the world and rocked the Saudi royal hierarchy. This wasn't a gradual transition. It was a meteoric takeover fueled by ambition, precision, and a willingness to eliminate any obstacle in his path, including his own cousins. He became more than an heir. He became the face of a kingdom trying to rewrite its future. And the tool he used? A bold, sweeping blueprint called Vision 2030, a promise to diversify Saudi Arabia's economy, embrace modernization, and reduce its dependence on oil. To the world, he looked like a reformer. He gave women the right to drive. He opened cinemas. He spoke of tech, tourism, and youth empowerment. But beneath that shiny exterior, a different narrative was unfolding. His methods were brutal. Rivals were detained. Billionaires were locked inside luxury hotels. Critics disappeared. What MBS called progress, others began calling repression. And behind it all stood a woman no one saw coming. Princess Fahda bint Falah al-Hiflain, his mother. Quiet, composed, but deep-rooted in tribal power. She was the shield he didn't talk about. Her support gave MBS internal legitimacy. Her family's tribal alliances reassured conservatives. Her social status reassured royals. Without her influence, MBS would have had to face a lot more enemies, a lot sooner. But as his power grew, something strange happened. Fahda started disappearing from the scene. Some say it was protection. Others say it was punishment. But one thing became clear: even the mother of the most powerful man in Saudi Arabia isn't safe from his calculations. And that's the paradox of MBS, a modernizer with an iron fist. A son who owes his rise to his mother and then moves to erase her influence. This isn't just a story of politics. It's a story of power, blood, and betrayal. The rift. What happens when the most powerful man in the Middle East turns his back on the one person who made him king? In recent years, whispers have grown louder. Sources close to the palace claim that Mohammed bin Salman, or MBS, has deliberately distanced himself from his own mother, Princess Fahda. And not just emotionally, Reports allege that MBS restricted her movements, blocked her from attending royal events, and cut her off from key family members. For a woman once seen as a cornerstone of the royal circle, this wasn't just unusual, it was unprecedented. Why would a son who owes his rise to his mother's tribal connections, political wisdom, and behind-the-scenes influence suddenly push her into the shadows? Some say it was strategy. That MBS feared her influence might disrupt his power consolidation. That she remained loyal to factions in the family he needed to suppress. That her voice was too independent, too dangerous, too rooted in tradition. Others argue it was protection, a twisted kind of love. They say MBS isolated her to shield her from the palace purges, the arrests, the betrayals. But if that were true, why wasn't she seen for years? Why was her name erased from public life? Insiders noticed the shift. She stopped attending royal banquets. Her name disappeared from state media. And when international leaders visited, the First Lady's seat was conspicuously empty. The void spoke louder than any headline. Analysts believe this rift signals more than a family drama. It may reflect a dangerous power realignment, one where even a mother isn't safe from her son's political calculus. Because MBS isn't just transforming Saudi Arabia. He's rewriting the rules of royalty. In the past, mothers of kings were revered, protected, listened to. But today, in a kingdom driven by ambition and surveillance, love is second to strategy. And for Fadda, once the silent matriarch who whispered into the ear of a future king, those whispers may now be regarded as threats. The deeper question isn't whether the rift is real. It's whether it's permanent. Because if a son is willing to silence the woman who raised him, what else is he willing to do to maintain power? The power of tradition. In Saudi Arabia, tradition isn't just history. It's a living, breathing system of control. And Princess Fadda bint Fala Ala al-Hiflain is its most refined guardian. Born into the revered Ajman tribe, she carries the weight of centuries-old power, tribal loyalty, religious legacy, and unspoken royal law. She doesn't demand respect. She inherited it. While her son, Mohammed bin Salman, charges toward the future with steel and spectacle, Fadda operates in whispers in palace hallways, in private majlis, in the language of honor and lineage. And make no mistake, sidelining a figure like Fadda isn't just a family matter. It's a national gamble. By minimizing her role, MBS risks severing his connection to the very foundations of Saudi identity. Because Fadda doesn't just represent royalty. She embodies the core values of conservative Saudi society. And yet, in a twist that feels almost cinematic, she's also a quiet reformer. Behind the scenes, Fadda has pushed for education, women's rights, and community empowerment decades before it became politically convenient. She doesn't stage press conferences. She builds programs that lift entire generations. In fact, some say her initiatives have done more to advance Saudi women's participation in society than any headline-grabbing reform. She's played the long game, and she's played it flawlessly. But now the contrast between Fadda and her son is impossible to ignore. Her diplomacy versus his decree. Her patience versus his speed. Of her invisible influence versus his unrelenting control. This tension between the old world and the new is more than philosophical. It's personal. Because when a kingdom teeters between its past and its future, the question isn't who has the power today. It's who defines what power means tomorrow. And in that battle, Princess Fadda remains undeniably, dangerously relevant. The hidden queen's influence. She may be out of sight, but she is never out of power. Princess Fadda bint Falah Al Hethlain may no longer grace public stages or attend high-level banquets. But within the palace walls, her influence is undeniable. In a world obsessed with visibility, Fadda plays the opposite game. She rules from the shadows. While her son, Mohammed bin Salman, dominates headlines and boardrooms, Fadda operates within a whisper network of loyalists, tribal leaders, and senior royals. These are not just allies. They are kingmakers. And she speaks to them not with decrees, but with strategy, with memory, with legitimacy. Fadda is known to mentor young princes, guiding them with stories of lineage, code, and cultural responsibility. She doesn't tell them how to gain power. She teaches them how to keep it. Through her, a new generation of royals is learning that in Saudi Arabia, power is not just in title, it's in trust. Her teachings go deeper than politics. They're about balance, about the ability to modernize without losing your roots. In moments of crisis, when tempers flare inside the House of Saud, her voice still commands silence. Whether it's brokering a fragile peace between feuding cousins, or advising quietly on major national shifts, Fadda is the royal family's unofficial diplomat. And that's her genius. She never publicly challenges MBS, but she never fully fades either. Her guidance remains invaluable, her perspective irreplaceable. Because in a kingdom built on both oil and order, only those who understand both bloodlines and power lines survive. In many ways, she is the balance between tradition and ambition, silence and strength. While MBS leads the public charge, Fadda protects the private structure holding it all together. And that is a different kind of dominance, the future of the monarchy, as Saudi Arabia races toward modernization. A different question looms over the golden palaces of Riyadh. What happens to the monarchy itself? Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the architect of Vision 2030, envisions a kingdom transformed. High-speed rail, tech hubs, global investments, and a culture unbound by old rules. He wants Saudi Arabia to compete not with its neighbors, but with Silicon Valley. To many outsiders, this sounds like evolution. But inside the kingdom, the transformation has created a storm. Because modernization has a price. And that price may be the soul of the monarchy. Enter Princess Fadda, the keeper of that soul, where her son enforces change with speed and steel. She embodies balance, tradition, and rooted royalty. She represents the ancient codes, the tribal customs, and the sacred rhythm of royal succession. And in a country where lineage is law, her presence signals more than heritage. It signals continuity. MBS is shifting the monarchy from consensus to control, from a family-based institution to a one-man power structure. He's sidelined cousins, he's detained uncles. He has rebuilt the crown in his own image. But that strategy, while effective in the short term, is inherently volatile. A kingdom once built on unity is now fracturing in the shadows. Analysts warn that if MBS fails to blend his vision with the traditions that define Saudi identity, he risks breaking the foundation on which the royal house was built. That's why Fadda matters more now than ever. She is not a threat to change. She is a living bridge to stability. She understands that a monarchy without legitimacy is a house built on sand. And while she no longer walks the halls of power as openly as before, her role, whether behind closed doors or in whispered counsel, remains crucial. Because in the end, the monarchy doesn't just need progress. It needs memory. It needs balance. It needs Fadda. And as long as she draws breath in the kingdom she helped shape, the future of Saudi Arabia's monarchy is still being written. A return to visibility. After years of invisible power, Princess Fahda is back, and she's not coming quietly. Whispers echo through Riyadh's golden corridors. She's been seen attending private royal gatherings, stepping into diplomatic rooms once closed to her, and engaging in hushed conversations with regional allies and family power brokers. No press release, no televised return. But insiders agree Fahda is re-entering the game. And her timing? Perfectly calculated. Saudi Arabia is now walking a razor's edge. Global pressure is mounting. Domestically, fractures are forming. And even MBS's most loyal circles are starting to question the pace and price of his absolute vision. It's no coincidence. Those close to the palace say Fahda's return is strategic not as a challenge, but as a counterweight to her son's power. Not to stop him, but to balance him. This is not rebellion. This is restoration. A mother reclaiming her place not with outrage, but with silk and steel. Or her very presence signals to the kingdom's traditional factions that they have not been abandoned. To the old guard, to the tribal elites, to the matriarchal inner circles, Fahda represents order, history, and royal honor. And MBS knows it, whether he welcomes it or not. His mother's return sends a message louder than any speech. That behind his rapid rise in futuristic flair, there still lives the woman who made the king. And now, as Saudi Arabia teeters between transformation and tradition, Fahda's return could be the reckoning moment. Will she be the one who cools the fire before it consumes the palace? Or is this the beginning of a quiet, elegant power shift? Either way, the queen is back. And her silence now speaks volumes. A kingdom divided. Every reform comes with a price. And in Saudi Arabia, that price is loyalty. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is building the future at breakneck speed: skyscrapers in the desert, robot cities, AI-powered economies. To his supporters, he's the tech king of the Middle East, dragging the kingdom into modernity. To his critics, he's a firestorm tearing through royal traditions. And nowhere is this cultural collision more visible than within the walls of the palace itself. At the center stands a woman whose silence speaks volumes: Princess Fahda bint Falah Al Hiflain. She represents something MBS can't manufacture: legacy, tribal dignity, an unyielding royal code. She is the symbol of what Saudi Arabia was before the tweets, before the startups, before the westernized reforms. And her allies include tribal chiefs, senior royals, and the old guard, all of whom still carry enormous behind-the-scenes influence. But now, the kingdom is splitting. Young Saudis chant MBS's name as he opens stadiums and movie theaters. The tech elite see opportunity in his vision. But deep within the royal family and across the tribal belt, a different loyalty brews. Some stay aligned with Fahda's quiet command, believing she still holds the moral compass of the monarchy. Others, emboldened by power and promises, throw themselves into MBS's jet-powered future. The result? A fragmented power structure where trust is thin, alliances are temporary, and legacy feels like a liability. Even foreign diplomats have noticed. One slip, one scandal, and this royal divide could become a national crisis. Because this isn't just a mother and son pulling in opposite directions. It's a philosophical war. Tradition vs. transformation. Memory vs. momentum. And in a kingdom where the monarchy is both spiritual and strategic, A family fracture isn't private, it's global. America, China, Europe, everyone's watching. Because a house divided isn't just a domestic affair. It's a signal to the world that power is shifting. And right now, Saudi Arabia's future depends on which side wins and who's left standing when the sand settles. When the dust of ambition settles and the gold fades from the headlines, only legacy remains. And Princess Fahda? She's the legacy MBS can't control. Her silence has shaken kingdoms, her influence has shaped a prince, and her story rewrites everything we thought we knew about power in the Middle East. If you found this royal power play as shocking as we did, subscribe and drop your thoughts in the comments. Who really controls the throne, the visible ruler or the hidden queen? Stay tuned, because on Billionaire Zone, we don't just expose the rich, we expose the real.